Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, welcoming the director of Warner Brothers Fist Fight, Richie Keen. We're talking all about his dark and hilarious comedy, and it's out this Friday, February 17th. Make sure to check it out. Hey everyone, it's me, Arthur Kade, and one of the most anticipated movies of the spring is Ice Cube's Fist Fight, and the man who directed it is joining me today, Richie Keen. I just went into like newsman mode. I was like, Richie Keen.
And you just said we're one of the most anticipated.
You are.
Well, listen, I appreciate that you think so, and hopefully some of your viewers think so.
You have like the A-list cast of A-list cast, man. You were just telling me how Warner Brothers pretty much said you're the only person to ever get all their first choices in a movie. That's crazy to me.
It was crazy. I made a list. It was a very strange list because I wanted to combine sort of like the funniest people on the planet with the people you didn't know were the funniest people on the planet. So I had people like Tracy Morgan next to someone like Christina Hendricks from Mad Men, and someone like Kamal from Silicon Valley next to someone like Dean Norris from Breaking Bad. I mean, I got Hank from Breaking Bad playing the principal. So, and then of course, Ice Cube and Charlie Day, and the bench is deep. I mean, Dennis Haysbert pops up in a great role, and I just can't believe that everyone said yes, and I more importantly can't believe that the studio allowed me to make what I think is basically a prison riot movie in a high school. I basically went in saying, I want this to be the prison guards versus the inmates. I want this to be the craziest day a public school has ever seen. I want this to be a rated R Ferris Bueller. And they said, okay, go for it. And here we are.
How does a TV director become a first feature film director?
That's a great question. You probably have to ask the studio why they said yes, but I was very lucky because first of all, I work with Charlie Day on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and when he signed on, which is before I got my yes, there was a really nice piece of synergy there, but I really presented this different version of what I wanted the movie to look and feel like. That was just a little bit of a departure from a normal high school movie. I love movies like 21 Jump Street and Bad Teacher and all these great high school movies, and I said, we got to be different. They've already done that. So I wanted this to be a look at the school system, the public school system, that whatever your philosophy is, and I don't know the answers, you say, God, there's a problem there. We're not supporting our teachers. And this happens to be a movie about a day where all the teachers, a lot of them are getting fired. It's a pressure cooker. Charlie Day happens to witness Ice Cube doing something that unfortunately Ice Cube just went a step too far. One of them's going to go, and eventually Charlie, who's about to have a second child with his wife, just says, look, I can't lose my job. It was him. And 3 o'clock. It's on. Ice Cube is not happy, and there's going to be what turned out to be, I believe, the most epic fist fight in American cinema.
So I was telling you, I was reading this firsthand account you wrote, which, by the way, I have to encourage everybody to read this. Just Google Fist Fight Richie Keen, and you'll find it. And you talk about what it took to get in the director's chair for this movie, and how you had to fly to Atlanta to meet with Ice Cube. My favorite part of it is, and I never thought about this, you meet Ice Cube for the first time, and you go, should I call you Ice, or should I call you Mr. Cube? And he's just like, call me Cube. I would be so intimidated if Ice Cube was just like talking to me. I'd be freaking out.
Yeah, well, people say, were you intimidated by Ice Cube? And I'm like, he wrote No Vaseline. He was in NWA. He could smile and be as nice as he wanted. When I first walked in, I'm like, this guy's legit. And also, I'm a huge fan. I'm a fan of his music. I'm a fan of his movies. So the whole thing was intimidating. And at that point, everyone else had agreed that I was the guy, and I was kind of called at a moment's notice and just said, Ice Cube wants to meet you. And I said, great, where? And I live in Los Angeles, and they said Atlanta. So I hopped on a plane, and I flew to Atlanta, and I sat in a hotel room just pounding coffee until I got a call that Ice Cube was in the lobby waiting for me. And I went down to the lobby, and he probably wouldn't like me saying this, but he's the nicest guy in the world. So when you're talking to him and you're trying to pitch him your movie, and someone behind you wants to get a picture or an autograph, he'll happily do it. So every time I was about to land a great point about what I wanted to do with this character or the movie, someone say Cube, and he go, oh yeah, come on over. And I ended up taking pictures. And
I saw your selfie at the end.
Yeah, this is
a great selfie.
Well, when I finally finished, and I had a whole presentation. I had video, and I had pictures, and I had the script to talk about what I wanted to change and how I wanted Ice Cube to be truly different in this movie than he's ever been. I just looked at him and I said, Cube, we doing this? I had to close the deal. And he just sat back and said, can I say this?
Yeah.
He said, man, you flew out here at a moment's notice. I like what you have to say. Yeah, let's go make a movie, motherfucker. And he held it, and I took a selfie, which you said you saw, so you can see it online.
And he made the mean cute face.
He made the mean cute face, and I'm like sweaty. I'm in a t-shirt, my bags under my eyes, and I sent it to all the producers, everyone at the studio, and I said, he said yes, so you can't say no. We're making a movie. I'll see you in L.A. And here we are now telling everyone to go see it, which is very exciting for me. I'm sure you can imagine.
I would tell you what really blew me away about that article as well, which is to see how much prevision has to go into this movie. Yeah. You see it on the screen and you're like, okay, this guy's a genius. I get it. It's shot beautifully. But the little variations, like you were talking about how with Charlie's character, you lit him up and then you would darken the light throughout the movie. While with Ice Cube, it was the complete opposite. And all those little variations subconsciously and subliminally tell us what we're supposed to think of the movie. And I'm like, I could never be a director, man.
Well, look, and no one will ever study a rated R comedy in a film class, and I don't think I'm any kind of auteur or anything. I do think that a director has to have a point of view on everything. So, like you brought up casting, and it's kind of a motley crew of people, and, with how we wanted the characters to be presented. I felt the same way visually, what's going on in this movie? Well, what's going on is Charlie's the good guy and Ice Cube's the bad guy, and as the movie goes on, that gets a little bit more ambiguous. Maybe Charlie isn't such a good guy, and maybe Ice Cube is making some sense. So if you kind of follow Charlie's journey into hell, and it starts getting more and more shadowy, and you follow Cube making more and more sense, and hopefully there's just a little bit of a different feel. I grew up with movies like Ferris Bueller and Fast Times at Ridgemont High and The Breakfast Club, movies that felt real.
The John Hughes epicness that that you and I both grew up with.
He was my idol, and I grew up in suburban Chicago where he was filming those movies. So I would hop on my bike as a kid, like a 6-year-old kid. I'd get on my bike and I'd ride down the street, and there they were filming a movie. And so I always liked sort of a realistic approach with a little bit of heightenedness. I did the same thing with the kids that I cast. I kept saying, what would John Hughes do? You know what he would do? He would cast local kids. He would help them be good. He wouldn't go look for the polished actors. So all the kids in this movie, we discovered the girl who plays Charlie's daughter is a scene stealer, and she's going to be a big star, and she's a local kid. It was important to me that this felt real and authentic.
When you look at the people you've worked with, I was looking at the TV shows you've directed. It's Always Sunny. So you've gotten to work with DeVito. Yeah. You've gotten to work with Charlie. Yeah. Then you're doing the Goldbergs. So you're around Jeff Garlin. Yeah. I mean, the roster of people that you've been around is absolutely insane. They're all different, but what's the common thread that makes all these people successful in your eyes?
Not to sound like a broken record, but point of view, right? So I was working with Billy Crystal, who was like my childhood idol, and I was working on his FX show, and I'm like, this guy understands what it is he does. DeVito, these are guys who are self-aware, they have a thing that they love to do, and they're doing variations on what they're great at. Dennis Leary has a point of view. I worked on Shameless, just strong, clear points of view. The Goldbergs, I was a kid in the 80s, that show is just, if you grew up in that era, it makes sense.
It hits it home.
And Jeff Garlin, who, God bless him, showed up for me in the first short film I ever directed. I said, would you do it? He said, yes. He's just a class act. I've been lucky. All these people I've worked with are not only some of the people I admire the most, but they've all become friends and been mentor. Like Billy is someone that I'll email and say, what do I do about this? He's like the mayor of Hollywood.
I'm so jealous that you get to email Billy Crystal. I would literally email him and just be like, hi, subject line, hi, topic, hi.
The first time I got an email from him, I just froze. I sent it to my parents. I'm like, it's Billy Crystal. He just emailed me. He wanted to tell me something, I feel that way. I felt that way the first time with DeVito when I had an idea that he really liked. With William H. Macy, I remember him saying, well, what do you think this scene's about? And I explained what I thought it was about. And he's like, yeah, that's what it is. And I'm like, I can't believe I just helped you figure that out.
Mind blown.
Yeah. So I've been, as a guy who was a comedian and then an actor and then an acting teacher and came to directing after about 10 years of being in LA, I pinch myself. I feel so lucky, and I can't believe I got to make a big studio rated R comedy that's hitting theaters Friday.
What I find interesting is, and I've had the absolute privilege to interview all of these people, and when you're next to them in person, you can literally see how quickly their mind works. That's the mind-blowing part.
Yeah.
It's like a muscle. Like, they're rattling off jokes. They have comebacks, and you have to keep up with them. And I always find it mind-blowing because you just see they're on a different level from a Mensa standpoint.
Yeah.
They're just brilliant people. When you're directing them, how much of it is, I'm going to let them do what they need to do and what they're good at versus, hey, I need them to stick to the script or I want them to actually work off my vision?
It's a really great question, and the answer is it depends on every different scene, situation, actor. I would be a lunatic not to let Tracy Morgan improvise for a couple of takes, or to let Charlie Day and Kumail not play. But I also know that I know what I want. I know what I came in wanting from the scene. I've thought it through. I know how I want it to look and feel, so I get that too. And then you decide most of that in editing. I will tell you that the best lesson I learned was, if a pitcher is throwing a no-hitter, you don't go up to the mound. So when someone is in the zone, you know, Charlie Day was in the zone on this movie, and there were days where I just stayed out of his way, let him do a couple takes.
Knock it out, bud.
Yeah, same thing with Ice Cube. But there are certain days where, like, you know, with Ice Cube, where I thought, you know, he was a big, loud, scary guy in 21 and 22 Jump Street. I want to have him just whisper to Charlie, I can't wait to fuck you up. And it was so much scarier. So sometimes you're coming in and you're saying, hey, let's try it this way. I don't know. I may be wrong. We'll figure it out later in editing. You know, let's see how it feels. And then really, as your job as a director is to just make everyone feel safe, to say to them, look, if it's not good, I'm not gonna use it. I remember having conversations with Emmy Rossum on Shameless about certain scenes and just saying, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna shoot this, and I want you to come with me. We're going to watch it back. And if you don't like what we just tried because you're nervous about it, we're not even going to print it. We're not going to send it to editing. So a big part of directing for me is just making everyone feel safe to play, whoever it is. And everyone's different. Everyone has different things that make them feel safe. And for me, when you're working with a cast that is as stellar as the one I have, you're just sort of helping mold little things here and there, finding jokes here and there, and helping them find the overall arc of their character in the movie. So when you're shooting out of order, someone isn't screaming in one scene too early and very quiet in another scene too late. They should be building towards that throughout the movie.
As someone who had aspirations to be in front of the camera,
Yeah.
to be an actor, to be a comedian, are there ever regrets? I mean, you're having success as a director, but are there ever regrets that you didn't keep going with that path?
I'm very lucky. I kind of got it all out of my system. I loved stand-up comedy. I had the most amazing adventures doing it. I had the experience of being a working actor for 10 years. I was on a lot of bad sitcoms, a lot of commercials. And the truth of the matter is, I always was the annoying guy who had ideas. I was the guy who would go to the writer, you know, if we just did this, or I'd say to the director, maybe if it's a close-up, I can just do, we got it, you know? So I kind of knew at a certain point I just had too many opinions, and I should probably try at least telling my own stories and seeing how that went, and here we are.
When you look at the job of the director, I remember talking to Ridley Scott about something, and he called himself a CEO. Mm-hmm. How much of it is managing the business side of what's going on while also being able to balance the creative part?
It's such a smart question. I love that Ridley Scott said that. I'm not nearly as talented as Ridley Scott.
He's a heck of a director.
He is. But let me tell you that in television, so every show is different. In some shows, you're a traffic cop, and you're helping everyone get everything done, and that is very much managing. You're like a manager. On other shows, you're a filmmaker. Good luck. Go make the show. Do whatever you want. And in a movie, in a feature situation, you are everything. You are the CEO of that company. You are the head marketer of that company. You are the creative visionary of that company. And so no question can be answered without at least your opinion, at least if it's multiple choice sometimes. But you are, as Ridley Scott said, you are that kind of boss. And so you have to, even right now in marketing, they come to me with a trailer, a commercial, a poster, and they want to know my opinion. I have to have one. It doesn't mean they have to listen to me, but they want to know. I just spent 1.5 years with this project. They've spent a few months. They want to know what I have to think, which is really, really great. So yeah, it's like running a company.
How attached do you become when you are putting in 1.5 years of your life, your pre-production, filming, post-production, marketing?
Yeah.
How do you let go of this thing? Like, does it get to a point where, like, all right, it's been out 4 weeks, it's a blockbuster, on to the next project, or is this something that stays with you?
I think like anything in life, if you have a passion for something and you care about something, it is something that you take with you forever. This is my first movie. It's exactly what I wanted it to be. So if there's someone who doesn't like this movie, you should tweet me. It's my fault. It's not Ice Cube's fault. It's not the studio's fault. I came up with...
Translation, he wants to work with Ice Cube again. Don't blame Cube.
Yeah. No, I do believe that, especially in making this movie, you talk about letting it go. I don't care what you think about what's happening in the world. I think everyone wants two things right now. They want to laugh, and they kind of want to punch someone. And I made the movie for those people. I can't believe I got to make a rated R comedy that I know whoever goes and sees it, I know whatever they think about anything on this planet, whatever they're going through in their life, I know they're going to laugh. I know the last 30 minutes of this movie are the craziest 30 minutes of a movie anyone will see all year. I know it. I've watched audiences watch it and talk about it. So I feel great about it coming out into the world. I can't control how many people see it. I can't control if people think it's the best movie, the worst movie, but I know I made a movie that makes me laugh and makes the people I like laugh. It makes It's Always Sunny fans laugh. It makes people who love comedy laugh. And if you're a fan of comedy, this doesn't let you down.
Everybody make sure to check out Fist Fight. It's in theaters this Friday, so check it out.